of that bike section. More drivers.
We are live on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and we're here for round 3 of the Weekend Warrior Summer Series at Rudskogen Motor Center. I am your host, Charles Boshell, alongside Josh Wilkie, handling production duties in our virtual hauler, as well as providing commentary. In round 1, we saw past champion Marco Pinero take the win in the SRFs at Road Atlanta. And then last week at round 2, it was Formula V ace Tortolo with victory at Oulton Park. Today, the Formula Ford 1600s take center stage here as our car rotation continues. Josh, welcome into the broadcast. It's another week, another car as we get our first look at the FFs during this season. How can we compare and contrast the Formula Fords that we'll be racing today with the Formula Vs and the spec racers we saw over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's a great question, Charles, and something we're all going to have to be talking about a bunch this season is just how different all these types of machinery really are. And this week, the Formula Fords at Rudskogen couldn't be more different than the last races we have done this season. That also includes the car and just how difficult this car can be to drive. This car really likes to turn, and what I mean by that is it doesn't like to go straight very much. It doesn't even like to track straight, let alone go straight down a straightaway even sometimes. So this is a much different car. You're really pushing the limits on this one. You're really using a lot of tire. You're sliding the car around. You're using the brakes. You really have to be nice on the throttle, on exit and so on, or it really likes to push. So this is going to be a bit of a different one for a lot of the drivers out there who maybe haven't been in this machinery before. If you haven't done your homework this week, it's going to be a tough race around Rudskogen. So even on a good day, even a good driver is going to have a tough time with Rudskogen in a Formula Ford. So I'm expecting to see a bit of a split field here today, although we are looking very close together in our qualifying here at the moment. But yeah, the FF, very different from a Formula V or an SRF. Not quite as much drafting either, Charles, especially around this track, but even on a good day too. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting out there and a challenge for the drivers as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Josh. As we take a quick look at our qualifying order, with about 11 and a half minutes gone in our 20-minute qualifying session, Maurizio Nazelli back this week, up on the top of the list there. But then you've got Jason Chin, Jason Green, Andrew Moran, and Nate Schramm, your top five. Look for Jason Chin, obviously very accomplished in the Formula Fords, was a Spec 2 champion, or I believe a couple of seasons ago. So very adroit in these cars. As we look a little further down the list, Joaquin Osbeck is currently leading the Spec 2 class, class in P6, and then Jim Brewster leading in Masters class in P13. So let's do a quick look at our championship points as we have finished a couple of rounds this season. So let's bring those up and have a look at where our current points total stand. And there you can see it, Nate Schramm on top, 176 points. Tortolo just behind with 165. Jason Green in third, 157. Adrian Borowski in fourth. Josh Justice rounding out your top five. Still close, only 40 points separating the top five. So still very close here in the Spec 1 category. As we move over to Spec 2, we'll get our group here that is being led by Dustin Diaz with 118. Paul Jackson only 6 points back. Phil Berry in third, another 2 points behind. Steven Saunders in fourth. Dan Wood in fifth. And once again, very close, 24 points separating, 24 points separating the top five. So even tighter still in the Spec 2 category. As we move over to Masters, Rich Meesters currently leads over Tom Gradwell, 136 to 121. Jim Brewster sitting in third with 119. Jeff Wubker in fourth, 108. Brad Cathcart rounds out your top five in 103. And speaking of Brad Cathcart, he is the sponsor of today's race. So thank you very much, Brad. We really appreciate it. No special graphics, no ad reads, but Brad being one of our drivers here in the series and all the series, I believe, chipping in to help out and make the broadcast possible. And then we see is that the overalls? Okay, well, that's the overalls, and you saw that up on the screen. So 13, almost 14 minutes ago. No real change that I see up in our top five, but we see Rich Meesters now up into P6, leading the Masters class with a 127.427. And we are still going here as these drivers are starting to get a better look at this track. And I don't know where Brad is on the track there, Josh, but maybe we can do a hot lap with him as we work our way through the end of qualifying here if he's out there.
Yeah, see if we can pick him up here. It does look like he's a little trundling around a bit at the moment here. Again, this is something we don't mention too often on here, but these qualifying sessions are open sessions, and that means you actually have to go out there and find room on the track, for you to get your lap. As well as you really want to try to get a draft here. As you can see here, Brad Cathcart now looks like he's pulling in behind. I believe that's Adam Bradshaw Jr. up in front of him there, using that same livery we've seen on him for many years. Easy to identify, my favorite. When they stick to stuff like that. But it does look like we're headed down the front straight now. This is probably going to be one of your better opportunities to set up a pass around this track, but man, you really got to think about T1 here, and T1 is a mind bender at this track. You're going to notice here, you want to take a ton of this curb, and he's actually going to spin it going into T1. You know what, we'll stick with him maybe here just for a sec, see if he can't get it back straightened out here. And you can see as he goes into this, exactly. And as he goes into this next curve here, you actually want to take a ton of curb on the inside here, and then you're going to use as much exit as you can here. You can see out sort of towards the black part of the track there where Boshell is, and then you have another long, pretty opportune spot to get a draft done here as well. But pretty much right when you're about to make this pass, you're going to be meeting this corner here. This is one of the more difficult corners on the track in the FF. You really do have to long, sustained right-hand corner. It sort of feels like a double apex, but you're kind of hanging it out the whole time, just holding it together. A lot of very counterintuitive corners around here. You can see taking tons of curb through this technical section here. That area took me a ton of time to get right in the FF. It looks easy through the front of Brad Cathcart's car right now, but I assure you, those sections are not easy in the FF to keep speed and not scrub it all. Then you're getting heavy on the brakes here again. Want to get a bit of a late apex going on this one. Again, really, really good exit here. You're looking at a very blind entry into this next corner here. You have to kind of feel it out a little bit before you get there. A bit of a dip to help you out on that one. And you can see just how much curb you have to use around here, Charles. Curb everywhere. And that's one of the harder things about this track really is kind of figuring out, if you haven't watched a track guide, just how much curb you can use and how much you actually have to use. And that's going to be a lap around Rudskogen. Not an easy lap, not an easy prospect for an entire race of 40 minutes around here either. It is a bit of a mind bender. I've had a race or two around here, and it's a really busy one. You end up pretty tired by the end. There's not a whole lot of chance to relax around here, and not easy to set up passes either, but you will see a lot of mistakes today, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would agree with you. The first four corners here at Rudskogen, very difficult. You get that run down into one, and then you get that immediate switch back as we get a good view of the track map here. That immediate switch back to two that just feels like it just goes on forever until you'll try to get the car on a straight line, and then the run down into 3 and 4 is very difficult with the downhill braking and still trying to corner the car as well. Makes it very difficult, easy to lock the car up, easy to lose the rear end. So we're going to be watching that today, and I think we'll see at least a couple of cars looping it around or just running wide, unable to get the car slowed down properly in order to make that corner. So that's going to be a hot spot, I believe, during the course of the day today. And once again, 40-minute race today. There is going to be a pit stop involved in today's event. We are still using our normal Weekend Warrior rules. Whenever that car comes up in in the rotation, we will be doing whatever that normal procedure is. So for a 30-minute race in the Formula V's, no pit stop. For the Formula 4s and the Spec Racers, 40-minute race, pit stop mandatory. And then the wild card comes next week, and I haven't heard anything from the league admin Stevie Ray about what we're going to do when we get to the MX5s. So it'll be we'll be finding out, I'm sure, during the course of this week to find out what rules package is going to be applied, because that is not normal one of our normal Weekend Warrior races that we do. So it's kind of a reserve for the Ray eSports Club Racing League, which we would broadcast here on Wednesday nights, and the MX5s are featured fairly prominently there. So we'll have to get some information from Stevie this week to find out how that's going to work. But it's going to be interesting, and that's going to be our wild card for every 4 races. That MX5 is something everybody should have some experience driving, because it is one of the rookie cars. If you're going to be a GT racer, that's your rookie car as you come through. And but once again, it's not something. It's one of those that you either fall in love with it and you race it a lot, or you get through your races and you're done with it and you never touch it again. So we'll have to see how that all works out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of one of those, Charles. I haven't really had too much time in the MX5 since my rookie days. Although, it will be interesting to see actually some people who have been in that machinery a little bit sooner, or maybe a little closer to some of our drivers who've had their who have 6,000 I ratings and haven't touched the MX5 in a couple years. It'll be kind of interesting to see, but I can tell you this much: the MX5 always races really well. We always have good races in the MX5. It's approachable by everyone, I think. You can get a little bit, you can get some fenders into each other. You can have a little spin, and everything's going to be okay. Not so in these cars at all. If you touch somebody in an FF, you're pretty much done. It's pretty much your race over. You're going to end up upside down, or you're going to end up with a bent front end or something. You can get away with stuff every once in a while, but not too often. Qualifying ending now, though, with Mauricio Naselli up at the front. Jason Chen really putting in some speed here. I remember back in the day when I was racing in FF a couple seasons ago, me and him were kind of nose and nose in S2, and he's now graduated to S1. And is putting in some pretty awesome lap times there. So good on Jason Chen up there, now actually getting pushed to third with Andrew Moran in the final seconds there, popping in 1:26.9. So pretty close up at the front as well. Aaron Borowski in fourth. There's a new name. I know we've seen him a few times, but not super often. You have to go all the way back to 9th place to get our next driver out of class there. And that's going to be actually, one of those theories that you actually brought forth there, Charles, is that on these really technical courses like this, the Masters guys seem to shine. And once again, we've got a Masters guy ahead of Johan Asbeck, who's going to be in S2 there. So pretty cool stuff to see the Masters up at least in the top 10 here as well.
Yeah, as York Monty jumps into 9th position, just ahead of Rich Meesters in 10th. So 2 Masters drivers rounding out our top 10, with the top 8 being all Spec 1s. As Josh said, Wilkie Osbeck there in P12, our first of the Spec 2 drivers, and he has a pretty massive gap there down to Adam Bradshaw Jr. Running in P19. So as you'll see, interesting as we get these inter class battles working. Obviously, the Spec 1s, you've got a nice long train up at the front. I can imagine those guys getting in line fairly quickly and getting this race going, and probably doing a little fuel saving here at the early part of the race, just trying to get to that pit stop. We'll see if that changes, but that's kind of the norm here. We've been to Rudskogen a few times with both the Formula Ford and the Spec Racer, so this is not unknown territory for the drivers that run these cars on a week-to-week basis here in the Weekend Warrior Series. So it will be interesting to see here as qualifying has now come to an end, as the overtime is now done, and we will be kicking over to our race session. And we should be able to get our starting grid pulled up here in short order. And there it is now. Maurizio Nazelli starting in P1. Andrew Moran, as Josh said earlier, just jumps into P2 there at the last minute over Jason Chen, who will start in third. Adrian Borowski starts in fourth. Nate Schramm starting in P5. Jason Green starting in sixth. Ethan Orr starting in seventh. Tortello starts in P8. Jorg Monty, Masters pole sitter, starting in ninth. Rich Meesters, Masters driver outside of row 5. Then we have Guido Marzucchi starting in 11th. Joaquin Osbeck, our Spec 2 pole sitter, starting in 12th. Dirk Braun, 13th. 14th is Alan DeGasses. Michael McConnell starting in 15th. Brian Stasinski starts in 16th. Jim Brewster will start in 17th. Josh Justice in 18th. Adam Bradshaw Jr. Will start in 19th. And Andrew Love will start in P20.
Yeah, and then in P21, we have Jason Dunnington. In P22, Hugh Simpkins, 23rd place. We have Stevie Ray, and Jason Grider will be in 24th. And 25th, Daniel L. Wood. Today's sponsor, Brad Cathcart, will be in 26th. Paul Jackson in 27th. 28th is Steve Saunders. Jeff Wubker will be in P29. And P30, we have Adam Bradshaw. P31, Phil Berry. 32 will be Paul Koradeshi. In P33, Tom Gradwell. Michelle Lynn will be in P34. Dan Straczynski in P35. And Nick Tullo in P36. I do believe we have one more driver, and Wayne Buttermore will be in P37, and that's going to bring our rather large field for FFs around Rudskogen. This is going to be a good one.
This is going to be a good one. Largest field we've had so far this season. I mean, 37 drivers out there on track as we're waiting for gridding to finish, and we'll get our pace lap started. So we've got a couple of minutes here. Once again, we will thank Brad Cathcart for sponsoring today's event. And as we get ready here, Josh, obviously we talk about this week in and week out, but this is no exception. You want to get those tires up to temp. You want to get some heat in those brakes before you do anything kind of crazy there. As we had, we've got a disconnect. Joaquin Osbeck has disconnected from the server, so we're going to be down Mr. Osbeck as we get this race going. We see Jason Grider there now pulling off, but once again, as I've said, you want to obviously be careful here at the start of the race, especially through 1 and 2. We'll probably see a lot of cars run deep here. Hopefully we get no big car crashes or anything like that, but it is one of those that you got to take your time and be patient here at the start.
Yeah, those are the key words. Be patient at the start around here for sure. There's a lot of corners on this track and a lot of places to get side by side, and you're going to have to choose those places correctly for sure, especially around these first laps. In the Weekend Warriors, in these cars that are fairly draft heavy, as well as the other two we're running here. Maybe the MX-5 being probably the least draft heavy car we'll be driving there, or least affected by it, that you really do have to think at the beginning of the race of sort of breaking off into a group of cars that you're going to be able to track around with for the race. If you get caught in a slower group of cars or you get pushed backwards, it can really, really mess your race up. And that means you have to try to kind of get up front and stay out of trouble in the beginning. And it's obviously a lot easier said than done. You can see us, or the cars just driving around these sections here. It might look a little bit wide, but it's not. It's actually a pretty narrow track around here. You maybe get 2 cars wide. 3 is probably pushing it too much everywhere. And we're going to see it. I'm sure we're going to see some of it. There's places around Rudskogen where you just end up beside someone, if I remember correctly. I'm racing around here. You're not even trying to, but someone messes up a corner and all of a sudden you're 3-4 cars wide, trying to figure out how you're going to get through the next 3 sections with all these cars around you. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see that today. So it is a little bit of damage control. Got to keep your head on a swivel around Rudskogen, and you really just need to get out there and hit your marks and drive the race that you can drive around here in the FF. Don't get caught up with anybody else.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Here is we round the final corner here, getting ready to get this race underway. You'll see the pace car peel off. We haven't talked about the pit entry, but it's a long pit entry here, and it's a little difficult to work your way through at speed. So we will see here as we get lined up 2 by 2 down, coming to the start finish line, and the green is in the air, and here we go. Great Zelly with a good jump. Andrew Moran's going to slide into second place just ahead of Jason Chin. So we're already looking 3 wide, third, a little further back here. There's a contact, and there's Jorg Monty around along with the 19, I believe, as well, of Guido Marzucchi. Oh no, Guido already at the start of the race with drama here. And I think they've got everybody's got lined back up and going again. Didn't look like it was a massive contact. I didn't see cars in the wall, but obviously a little bit of drama there at the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And that T1, Charles, is such a hard corner, and it's so hard to approach with that many cars. You really don't know what anybody's going to do. And there's probably, more than a couple drivers out there taking very, very different lines than each other through that section of the course where, you can really, really charge that area. If you get the line right, you're almost straightening that area out, and you can get through it really fast. But if you don't have that section totally nailed down, it's a lot slower than some of the other drivers out there. And I just jumped on board with Jorg Monty there. Unfortunately, when we saw him it looked like he got pinged from the rear end there. I'm not sure. We'll go back and have a look. Beautiful livery on the Union Jack there. I'm not exactly sure who that is. Might be Steve Saunders. Yeah, beauty livery there. Actually, we should mention, with the Union Jack out there, it is the 250 of America, so maybe not the livery you want to be focusing on at the moment, but definitely happy 4th to everybody out there, all my U.S. friends and everything. Hope you guys all had a great day yesterday, but we are fighting for first place up at the front here, and this is going to happen into T1 over and over again, I think, today, isn't it, Charles?
Yeah, well, absolutely. As Andrew Moran slides into first place with that run through into T1, late break and able to get the pass done, as he's now in front of Nazelli. Chin still sitting there in third. And as you were having a conversation, I was watching, and our timing and scoring software lit up with meatballs everywhere. As Jorg Monty has already towed to the pits, that has left the server. Guido in the pits with a meatball. He is towed back. As well as meatball flags for Phil Berry, Adam Bradshaw, and Tom Cradwell. Dan Skaczynski is out as well. So I'm not sure. Yep, he's in there. He didn't have a meatball flag, but he is in the pits as well. So a little bit of carnage there at the start of the race has cleared out a few of our drivers. Still 30 on track as we continue on here with Naselli back in the lead. We're going to get a quick replay here of the start of this race, and you just see it's 2 and 3 wide, and there's just a slight tap of the brakes a couple of places there. So was not Guido and actually Jorg were actually in separate incidents where it was just brake checkups there starting the race, and those were the 2 victims early. Yeah,
absolutely. You can see Michelle in here as well, just trying to pick her way through this carnage, and got a crash report. Fortunately, didn't actually crash. That was just because of an overslow. So you can see exactly what you're kind of supposed to do in those situations there is really lock her down and kind of try to pick a good line through it instead of trying to shoot the gap as fast as you possibly can, which sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. We'll catch up with a couple more here, though, Charles. This is going to be Adam Bradshaw and Phil Berry, and it looks like they're going to get into each other here potentially, and that looked like a little bit of netcode actually. That was just a tiny bit of netcode there. Not sure if they would have hit each other anyway. It was playing with some margins there, and then we're going to get a little bit of a secondary as well out of that one. We'll go for one more here because I believe there was another one from Adam Bradshaw Jr. here, and it looks like he's already had the incident, so maybe we'll try one more. Stevie Ray going to get caught up in something here in that beautiful 4th of July 250 America livery there. That's the one we should have been focusing on, and he's just going to get unfortunately a bit of a hurdle in front of him there. He's going to slow down, do the right thing, and he's going to lose a bunch of time, but not going to lose any parts of the car.
Yep, absolutely. As it's always a 50-50 deal with slowing down for cautions. You have to hope that the other cars do as well, especially the ones that are behind you. And it doesn't always happen, unfortunately. Here at iRacing is you can have the best of intentions and still just get pummeled from behind with just other cars not checking up the way you check up. But that is just part of racing. It happens in professional racing as well. And as we continue up here now, Nate Schramm up into P5, and we look a little bit further down at Adam Bradshaw Jr. Giving chase there to Jim Brewster. That was very close to contact there, wheel to wheel, as Adam Bradshaw Jr. getting a good run out of the corner, a little bit better than what Brewster had, but able to keep everything going the right direction here as we head down into turns 3 and 4. And you just see the car, Jim Brewster, running a little wide there. Is going to tuck it in narrow here on the second half as we see U Simpkins taking it really narrow up into the grass there with his right side tires on the inside of that turn 4 as they work our way through the S's section here. And once again, carrying as much speed as you dare, trying to keep the rear end behind you as these cars work their way through, and then out to more open here as we run out of turn 10 down into 11 and then 12 and 13 as we see 12 navigated there pretty nicely. A little opening there as 13 spills around the opposite direction and then into that final hairpin there at 14 as these cars work their way through. You see them coming through now as Jim Brewster still leading this group here as we've got top 5 together. Jason Green up in P6 is a little bit further off the pace. Obviously, some of the issues there early on have kind of broken up that lead pack. So we'll see if, as we see Adam Bradshaw Jr. looking to the inside there, trying to see if he's going to be able to make a move, and he's going to be able to hang it. And not quite enough there as Jim taking that defending line through turn 1 and in through 2 is going to be able to keep that position. And Bradshaw's Jr. going to reset. Try this again as they work their way down that straightaway into turn 3. Bradshaw, the inside line this time, is going to take that tight, and I think he's actually going to get this pass made as long as he hangs on to it, and does indeed. So move him up a position. Simpkins coming with him, so he opened the door for Simpkins to come through, and that's going to drop Jim Brewster down to P16, so he's going to lose 2 positions there. He has Andrew Love just behind him. And those guys have done quite a bit of racing here as we get this replay on board here with Simpkins.
Yeah, you can see him just get opened up there by Adam Bradshaw Jr. Nothing Jim Brewster could do, and Simpkins using that opportunistic moment there to get up the inside. That's one of those corners, I was saying in the run-up, it's sort of probably the longest sustained corner on the track, and it's really hard. You made a good point there too, Charles, that it is kind of coming downhill and everything into it as well, and then it kind of goes back uphill, and there's a lot going on in that corner right there that you're asking of the car, and to ask one more question of can I come up the inside of you is probably one too many, and it was for Jim Brewster right there as he's going to get passed by Simpkins and put backwards. But Simpkins on a bit of a charge here now. I expected he would find a little bit of pace here. He's got Adam Bradshaw Jr. in front of him, who's going to be leader of S2, so this is the lead of S2 here we're watching in front of us, and these 4 drivers in this pack here are always sparks all the time. You're always going to find some sparks from Jim. You're always going to find some sparks from Adam Bradshaw Jr., from Andrew Love, and from you Simpkins. Just really fun drivers to watch and get out there. They are going to turn the screws on each other here, as it looks like Simpkins now a little bit more pace perhaps than Bradshaw Jr., but we shall see in these laps that it is a little easy sometimes to stay behind somebody. I know it is for me. You can obviously get a bit of draft, but on top of that, they just kind of like lay out the track for you in front of you a bit. You can kind of relax a bit. Once you get out front and you're leading, well, then it's all up to you to pick those lines and get a little more difficult.
Yep, absolutely. And then you get the rabbit effect as well. As you got somebody right in front of you, you can just chase them, and that seems like that always is good for a tenth or so, as you're just trying to keep track of them, as well as look for a way around. As we're still here, and we got now Jason Dunnington. They're sitting in P18 behind this group of drivers here. So a nice little 5 or 6 car group. As we're going to add Steve Saunders in there as well, bringing that livery around as he is coming around, as well as Dunnington, Andrew Love there in the yellow Formula Ford there. That's we know that one. Jim Brewster with the red and green as always, and we've got as you said, you Simpkins and Adam Bradshaw Jr. leading this group here. They're running 14th through 19th. And so they're in their own little battle there of 2 classes, as we're going to slide down a little bit further and look at Paul Jackson, currently running in 21st. He's got Dan Wood in front of him. He's got Jason Grider, Jeff Wubker behind him. So another nice group of cars here. As we see Jackson run a little wide there on the edge of the floor, and just hangs on to it well enough to stay into that spot. So has not given up anything just yet, but obviously he'll be rethinking that line through the corner the next time around as we continue on here. And still Maurizio Mazzelli leading over Andrew Moran, Jason Chin in third, Borowski and Schramm round out your top 5. And they're, I'm sure, probably in their mode of fuel saving as we go here. This one of those tracks where you can kind of lift and coast. It's enough corners that you can kind of save a bit of fuel during the course of your lap. As we're still looking at this battle here with Dan Wood leading this group. Still running in P20. You see Steve Saunders up there just ahead of him, the back of that next group. And now we're down here with JG1, Jason Grider running as well, running in 22nd. Just keeping in there, and that's a good run for Jason. Oh, and you know that was about an instant commentator curse there, as I was just talking about it. Is having a good run there, and it's him and Paul Jackson. We see Paul Cordeshi work his way through. I think Jason is going to sit there for a minute. He's going to back it up, get it lined up again, and head forward as Paul Jackson has an off track that he's got to work off. And now Jason is running. I think he's just kind of waiting on traffic to clear there, as we're going to get another look at this replay coming down into 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, just getting it wrong there. I think maybe the timing on it just a little bit wrong. Perhaps a little slower than maybe expected in front, and I honestly think he just kind of got that one wrong. He just missed his braking period there completely. Tried to avoid Paul Jackson, but ended up hitting him. Too bad. Paul Jackson was doing pretty well there. Looked like he had some good pace today, cutting good lines around the track. Brad Cathcart is going to have a black flag. Not exactly sure for what. I do have a crash report here, maybe 2 actually. Let's go back and have a look at perhaps what kicked this one off, and it looks like maybe something already happened there, didn't it? He's moving pretty slow. Looks like maybe he's dragging a wheel. Let's go back one more crash report. So there's a bunch here. So this is going to be when it kicks off here, and then I think the ones after that are going to be him trying to limp it back to the pits and unfortunately grabbing a black flag because of it. And see those 3D curbs just eating up the rear end of that car. Szybczynski can get into him in that new livery with Grandpa yelling at the sky there. Love that livery, by the way. And then Michelle Lynn looks like she's going to get into... Wow, I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Let's go and see if we can't figure this out here quickly. I'll put it up on Chopper here, and it looks like just a bad rejoin, unfortunately. And that's going to be a really uncharacteristic of Brian there, not something he would usually ever do. So really unfortunate for Michelle Lynn, too. I hate seeing that purple car with the anvils, man. It's just, they seem to be a bit of a magnet sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was, I would agree, Brian, very unlike Brian Szybczynski with just maybe a little rush to try and get back on the track, and was not quite clear as Boshell was coming through that. But yeah, you saw the incident there with him and Cathcart. And it just looked like Cathcart, as you said, those curbs just loosened the rear of the car and just not able to get it around. That is one of the things about this car is it is susceptible to breaking loose just on the curbs, even in the straight line. As you get on the brakes, that car will just kind of loop itself around. And we're getting a replay here of Dan Wood. Let's see who that is behind him. See the car on the outside there. That might have been
I think that was just getting by JG maybe there, perhaps. Yeah,
maybe so. So Andrew Love now in the pits, and I believe this is an actual pit stop for fuel. So he's going to be the first of our takers, which is odd because Stevie Ray's already in there. So I take that back. I was going to say Stevie's going to be our first taker, but he's already been in the pits. We didn't see it, but he's already made his pit stop, as well as Jeff Wubker. Dan Szynski in, getting his pit stop done. Probably getting his repair work done as well. Michelle Lynn also in the pits on lap 5, so a little bit earlier. So hopefully not a lot of damage on her car as we're back on board here with Nate Schramm. Now up into P4, has made a move around Adrian Borowski. So he's going to be up in 4, as now we have kind of split the field a little bit here at the front, as Nazelli and Moran have kind of checked out over Jason Chin to the amount of 1.8 seconds there, as Chin has dropped back. So you've got 2 cars leading the front, you got another 3-car pack behind them, and then you've got a 4-car pack a little bit further back, and that's your top 9 with Rich Meesters a few seconds behind, running in 10th. So now Moran back into the lead. So they're doing a good job of overlapping each other there down the front straight, and swapping that lead out without costing themselves any time. And so Moran jumps back out to the front, and Nazelli content to slide around behind into second place. And then I'm assuming that once we come down again, they'll do the same thing in reverse, as Nazelli will move back up to the front. But those guys working together seemingly pretty well there, as Chin, Schramm, and Borowski now have got to make a decision. They got to stay together and hopefully close that gap down just a little bit, but not able to do so thus far, as we're now getting a look here at Ethan Orr sitting behind Jason Green. So this is that 3rd pack that contains Green, Orr, Tolo, and Alan DeGassis sitting there running from 7th down to P9. I'm sorry, 6th down to P9, pardon me. And Jason Green doing a good job of leading this group around. Jason, kind of got the nickname the Professor, able to manage his fuel to a pretty close limit there. Does a good job of maintaining that, and I think the other guys are just content to run his pace until we get to our pit cycle, as we see. Sorry about that. Had to sneeze there for a second.
That's okay. Kazoom tape. You're right. Jason Green, you kind of use him as a measuring stick a little bit out there, and I have before, is basically just kind of roll around. If Jason Green hasn't pit yet, then I probably don't have to either. And if Jason Green is pitting now, then maybe I should too. And that's kind of how I've gauged a few things, or at least other drivers around me as well. But Jason Green is one that you can definitely count on for some good strategy out there for sure. Still battling here with Adam Bradshaw Jr. now, Joshua Justice in front of him, Hugh Simpkins just behind, still battling back and forth. Really nice looking livery on, I believe actually that is going to be Michael McConnell. No, sorry, that is Joshua Justice. That's just kind of throwing me for a loop a little bit, because I don't think I've ever seen Joshua Justice in anything but a blue 99 before, and he's got a little bit of orange on there today, and I'm liking it. I'm liking the orange and blue and black. Looks really, really good, actually. So he's out there doing pretty good today as well. 14th place, holding it together. Adam Bradshaw Jr., not an easy man to get around, and he's got some pace today. So you can see now actually the gap that he's kind of put on Jim Brewster since we were last with him. So he does have a little bit of pace out there today as well, maybe even moving forward a bit. We kind of lost some of his battle there has actually moved up the road on him as well. But a few battles going on out there still. Jason Green out here with Ethan Orr, Tortello behind him up front. We do still have Andrew Moran and Mauricio Naselli, who you said are just managing this gap perfectly. So we saw kind of a textbook example of exactly what you want to do coming down that front straightaway if you want to break away from the pack, and that's basically let the person pass you and use that momentum to continue around the track, and then you'll both have a faster lap time than everybody else, and you can pull away. If you fight each other into every corner, well, then you just end up going backwards, and we do see a lot of that. Obviously, some people don't really get the message, or perhaps they just want to race too, and that's their prerogative out there too. You can do that as well. You can make some, not going to make any friends that way sometimes, but it is your prerogative to do so if you want. And of course, we should mention as well, almost getting into the back of Moran there. That was some pretty fine margins to deal with from Mauricio Naselli. Not sure he wanted to get that up the chuff of the number 36, but just quickly mention there that we do have multiple classes here, and they don't owe anybody anything, right, Charles? So if you have a Masters guy in front of you and he doesn't want to move, well, that's too bad. You got to figure it out.
Yep, they are classed based on either rating or on age with the Masters class, but the finishing positions are start at P1 for maximum points and go down to the end. So it is one of those that even if you're a Masters driver, you want to be as high up the order as you can. So P9 is P9, and so Alan DeGasse is currently leading in Masters, is going to get P9 points, not P1 points for his class. So every position matters. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't owe anybody anything, as we saw the leaders come around Paul Jackson to lap him just a few moments ago. So that's going to make things, that makes things, the racing, a little bit tighter, because just because I'm not in your class does not mean I don't want to finish ahead of you. As we're still looking here with Dunnington, Brewster, and Simpkins there. Dan Wood has fallen off this group down to P18, and I believe, has Dan pitted yet? I'm looking down my list. He has not. So basically, top 21 cars still yet to pit. The rest of the cars have been in at least once already, either for their pit stops or for damage repair. So we'll see how it all shakes out here, as the group here with Michael McConnell, with Adam Bradshaw Jr. and Josh Justice, but just behind. That is the battle for P12. A couple of drivers we haven't talked about very much. Rich Meesters and Dirk Braun have been running together here. They're running 10th and 11th. They've got a gap up to Alan DeGasse's. They've got a gap back to Michael McConnell. So they're just kind of running a two-man group here as they're working their way through, and they're keeping each other honest and keeping the racing clean, and just running the laps as best they can here as we get down to pit cycle, which is probably going to determine who's going to win this race, as it usually does. There you see that was Braun, I believe, just a little bit loose there through 3 and 4, and that is the danger there with those two corners. You can kind of see that car, how it wants to just get away from you, and Dirk did a good job of corralling that, getting it back in the pickle jar, and getting it back headed the right direction there. As I need to message him, by the way, I need some more pickles.
Pun intended, yeah.
As we continue on here, currently still Moran, Naselli, Chin, Schramm, Borowski, your top five, as the gaps between these groups have opened up just a little bit, not too much, but they are opening up just a little wider here as we count down the laps here, just past the halfway point. So we'll start seeing the first of our mid-race pit stoppers coming in here very shortly. My guess is the rest of them probably going to try and drain the tank dry, getting everything they can out of that initial offering of fuel before they come in. That's generally how things work here at Rudskogen, but obviously every driver is a little different how they'd like to do things. You may take a little less fuel at the beginning, stop mid-race, kind of half and half it, take a little bit more fuel during your pit stop, and just going out and seeing how well you can do. But others, as we see here, waiting till the very last moment to come in and get their pit stops made, and I think that's what we'll see from a lot of our lead drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting that time here pretty soon. There is only so much fuel in these little cars that they can hold, and that time is coming pretty soon here around the 22-minute mark. So be in the next 5 minutes or so, you'll probably see everybody come in for that pit stop, and you can see there on our screen. Wow, he's going to get pushed wide there, so that's going to be, that's pretty much how you get that one done through that corner, isn't it? Either you force somebody into a mistake so they go wide, You kind of just get up the inside of them and force them wide, and that's going to make them lose a lot of time through that corner. You really have to kind of tuck it in to get the exit correct, and Jason Green now going to be shuffled back a little bit on that one. We'll see if he can't make up some of that time, but we're looking just from Andrew Love's pit stop there, about 16 seconds. I saw another one around 16. Steve Saunders 13, CV Ray 12, so mixed up times there. I'm not really sure what to go off of. Obviously, Andrew Love was a little bit earlier, so he's going to have to take a little more gas than the other two, and will be a little bit less once these guys come around. But as you said, a massive pit lane here, so you can see our overall pit times are almost in the minute mark there. A couple of them 55.5, and that's going to be because you have a little bit of a mini go-kart track to accomplish there before you actually get into the pit section, and there are no speed limiters on this car, so you do have to make sure you get it slowed down on your own, and then gauge that speed through the pit lane on your own as well. You don't just get to hit a button and kind of ride on it, which many of the cars these days would do, but these ones obviously not quite that sophisticated yet. Nathaniel Schramm up here fighting with Adrian Borowski with, I believe that's Jason Chen just in front of them. So there's still battles all over the track. They have basically lost touch with Moran and Naselli, not by a ton though. I was actually expecting a little bit more than that, so they haven't been able to totally run away. We're just below the 3-second mark, let's say, with them, and that's totally reachable. All they need to do is make maybe one mistake, maybe two mistakes into a corner, and these guys are in draft range again. So we'll keep an eye on it, but those pit stops got to be coming soon, Charles.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think by the 30-minute mark, I think you'll see most everybody into the pits. I think that is Stevie Ray there being lapped just ahead of the second group, just ahead of Jason Chin there. And you see the gap, not a huge gap there between them. And Stevie Ray being there might actually help as they come around the final corner here. That's going to actually give Jason Chin a chance to get a little bit of a draft off of Stevie. So that's going to actually help that second group maybe make up a little bit of time here as they go through, as we're taking a look from the Barney eye here at the flag stand as they work their way through. Moran still leading over Naselli and still running 1 and 2 as that second group comes through now, and you see them closing the gap down there. Stevie Ray probably just going to stay wide, let these guys go in and run that inside line there to make their way around, as we are once again 25 minutes into this 40-minute race, and Stevie actually hung in there, so he's actually maybe giving those guys a little bit more help, but I think he's going to have to clear that just in a minute as these guys work their way around. I did see Jason Chin looking to the inside, so he's already through, and now you see Stevie there just giving them berth and staying wide there to allow these cars to work through as best he can, but had to come back onto the track. And he's going to hold up Borowski just a little bit there as they come through. Obviously, Stevie trying to, he'll stay and he'll get himself unlapped. He's already made his pit stop, so he'll be able to come back and be back on the lead lap here as the leaders come in for their pit. As we see Dan Wood now on pit exit, which we haven't talked about very much yet, is we talked about pit entry being a little bit of a go-kart track. Pit exit's very dangerous because you're coming out right on the outside line of turn 2. And it makes that very difficult if there's oncoming traffic. It's very difficult to blend, as we see Borowski coming in for the pit. So he's broken loose out of that top group, and now he's coming in for his pit stop, and you see the length of time that you have to trundle down pit lane here as he works his way down toward the far end of the pit, obviously with a good qualifying time. He's going to slide his way down here just before the end and get into his box. Nicely done there. And let's see what his time is as he comes back out. We'll get a good shot here of his pit stop time. And looking like it's going to be a little longer, 18 seconds flat. So that's a little bit longer than what we've seen from some of the other ones. And that might just be a little bit, obviously, Borowski hasn't really run with us until this season. So maybe a little bit of inexperience there as far as getting the car fueled up properly, and just took a little extra bonus fuel there as he comes back out safely onto the track. So he's going to drop down into P17, but obviously he'll be back up, and we'll see where he shuffles back in as the remaining drivers at the front of the field take their pit stop. Still lots of drivers left, probably the top 20 still yet to come into the pits.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit long there for sure. We did see Andrew Love pit many laps ago, and he was only about 16 seconds as we get some sort of repeating camera there. That was interesting. Back and forth. So I'm not exactly sure why that took 18 seconds for him, but I think you're probably right, Charles. It's just a little bit of an experience there. Perhaps just set the fuel a little bit too much. And I mean, it's always better to have a little too much fuel than not enough, I suppose. They can both be as detrimental as one another, to be honest. But you definitely do want to be able to at least finish the race. Now, Jason Dunnington and Hugh Simpkins are coming in to the pit lane, so we'll keep an eye on them and their times as well. I'll first put up here the actual pit stoppage time. So you're going to see nothing until they actually stop in the pit box, or they hit that pit box, and then it'll start counting down, and we'll see what kind of pit times they get. I'm guessing it should be under 16 seconds. If they get it correct here, they should be leaving their pit box so that's about 12 seconds for Dunnington, and we still have Simpkins at about 15.5. So I guess we're going to have to push it. Around 13 seconds maybe is going to be fuel load, I'd say, Charles, but we'll have to see. I think anything below about 12 seconds is going to be, you're out there saving some fuel perhaps.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think 13 is probably going to be a good number. Obviously, there'll be some drivers that maybe try and give it take a chance, take a little bit less. As we see Simpkins coming out, I saw some cars coming there on the inside, and you see the outline there as he's going to get back out safely. I believe that is Andrew Love just behind him as he works his way out of the pits. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all falls out. Who's going to take a gamble? Obviously, we've got Thompson trophies prepared for any driver that does not able to make it on their fuel after they take their pit stop. So we'll be happy to give those out at the end of the race. But as we're seeing here so far, everybody in good stead. I will say that we did have a few retirements. Brian Stasinski, Guido Marzucchi, and Adam Bradshaw have all left the server into their race. Obviously, with those cars having contact and extra long times in the pits, it's going to be very difficult to make that up, especially early on, where you wouldn't be able to get enough fuel into your car. So as we see a car going off there, interesting. And
Guido.
That was Guido. Just said, okay, I've had enough, and so Guido gone from the race. Unfortunate for him. As we're back to the front of the field here at the 30-minute mark of the race. So we'll start seeing pit stops here, I would say fast and furious, starting now as we're 3/4 of the way through this race. And there we see it as Moran comes into the pits now for his stop. Let's see if anybody followed him. Nazelli followed him as well. Oh, and look, contact. Oh, as Nazelli came in hot there, and maybe Moran not quite up to pit lane speed there, and Nazelli not able to get that car stopped. We're going to get a replay of that as they come through and see what happens here as we're on board and looking through. And we see him coming around, and he just brakes really. I would say he broke where he thought he needed to brake, and maybe that wasn't where Nazelli needed to brake. But now, unfortunately, Moran has a pit speeding penalty from that shunt there coming in. He crossed the line too fast, so now he's going to sit for 40 seconds, and that's day done for Moran, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to take him right out. Naselli there taking his fast repair and getting that done, but Moran unfortunately getting pushed by that hit, and he was over the speed limit from that hit, so that's going to put him way back, and that'll end his race. That's done. 40-something seconds. I believe it's a 36-second hold? 40-second hold?
It's a
40-second hold, so that's done. You might as well just park it. That's the end of pretty much the end of the line there for Andrew Moran, unfortunately, and just tripped over him a little bit there on the pit lane. Something that again, we talk about it often, just how difficult the pit cycles can be, and there's a lot of pitfalls in the pit cycles. You can screw up your gas, you can speed in, you can speed out, you can miss your box, you can hit somebody on the way in. You really do have to be careful when you're coming in with somebody else where they're going to hit those brakes, because you never really know where or when they're going to do it. And unfortunately, obviously we know Naselli, a very, very good driver. It's not like he went out there trying to push the limits a little bit too hard, but unfortunately going to get into the back of Moran there, and that's going to end Moran's race and our race up front. Naselli should be able to pretty easily walk away with this one now, but we will get back to action here. Not too many close battles on track at the moment. McConnell and Meisters both in the pit now having their stops, and there's going to be some of our last pit stops out here. Jason Chen now deciding, oh, nope, not deciding to come in quite yet. So there are still some holdouts actually at the 32-minute mark. So that's pretty impressive, honestly. 32 minutes with gas out there around here. They got to be running on fumes here by now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I guess the downside of this is now Naselli is going to be by himself. So he doesn't have a drafting partner. And the draft is not necessarily as severe in this car as it is in some of the others, but that does make a difference. And so I wonder, it's going to be just up to Naselli to just run hot laps here till the end. And hopefully that his pace by himself is going to be enough, as we're still seeing pit stops continue. And now we've got Jason Chen in the pits. Schramm stays out for another lap. So Schramm staying out. It looks like most everybody else is coming in. So Chen or Tolo all coming into the pits for their stop. As you see them working their way down pit lane. We still have Braun and Justice out there. Are they going to come in? They are indeed. Dirk Braun coming into the pits. And Josh Justice, is he coming in as well, or is he going to work his way through? He is coming in as well and took an off track there on entry. And hopefully that doesn't give him a penalty, and it does not look like it does. But now Chen out 9.1, really quick stop there. So that's going to put him back up toward Naselli here. So that's going to be very close as we see Orr just off the line there. And now with the black flag, so that may be for an unsafe pit exit as he crossed over the white line there. So we're going to see it is Schramm leading Jason Chen ahead of Mauricio Naselli. And the gap is about 1 second. So he had a very quick stop. So now is he going to be able to make it? Obviously, we talked about that pit stop time. His was dramatically shorter than Naselli's was. It was a 12.3 for Naselli versus a 9.2 for Chen. Tortello also with a very quick stop, 9.5, which actually pulls him up into P4 over Orr, which I believe is, once again, see the black flag, and that may be a unsafe pit exit, as he was over off the racing line there on the pit exit line. So that might be what that is. We'll have to get a look, as you see him there off in the grass, and I think that is going to be the cause of it.
Yeah, it looks like for whatever reason there, he was definitely over that line, wasn't he, Charles? And that's going to be the cause of that one for sure. Jason Chen able to undercut Mauricio Naselli. That is a big move from Jason Chen, making the power moves there with the 9.1 pit stop. That is a bit of, it's dangling a little bit, isn't it, Charles? That number is a bit dangly out there. I'm not sure. But then, I look down, I see Tortello, and he's got a 9.6, and I'm like, maybe he can make it work. Usually Tortello doesn't get that stuff wrong, so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it is even less than Tortello, and sometimes even that 0.2, 0.3, it can matter. You start sputtering. At some point, if you can start sputtering 30 seconds later or 20 seconds later, you might just make it across the line. So we'll see how that plays out. But Jason Chen doing a great job out front now, though, under pressure from Mauricio Naselli, who's going to take him on the inside into that infamous corner that all the passing is getting done here down that back straightaway. Just an easy spot, I suppose. You're a bit of a sitting duck. If you can get up the inside of somebody there, or even put the pressure on them there, it's just so very difficult to keep that car tucked on the inside when you're under pressure.
It is indeed. And now as the pit stops have concluded, we saw Ethan Orr come back down the pit lane for his penalty. And so we've got Nate Schramm and Tortello back there running in third and fourth. And they're just off. It's about 2 seconds back up to Naselli. So they're not out of it yet. It just depends on how much pressure Jason Chen can put on Naselli, as we're going to get a replay here of this pass coming down into turn 3. Naselli just with a good run, tucks it, pulls out down to the inside, works his way through. Nice, easy move there for Naselli to get back to the lead. And now he's going to try and pull away, and we're going to see if Jason Chen has anything for him here, as we've got 2 laps left to go here in this race. As they come down into turn 1 for a couple more times here, as Jason Chen unable to do anything as of yet. We're going to see how he gets on this run down toward turn 3. You see Naselli cut to the inside there, maybe to try and break the draft but Jason Chin going to follow him down as we work our way down into 3 and 4. And you see Nazelli, very, very good line through there. Flares a little wide there out of 3, but slows it down, brings it back into the apex of 4. And then around we go for the S's here through 5, 6, and 7. Then Chin right on his tail. And the gap's back, once again, 2 seconds back from this group back to Schramm. And well, I was going to say Tello, but Tello has fallen off. So I'm not sure what happened to Tor, but he is down a little bit further down.
I think they're lifting. I think they must be lifting.
6 seconds. So maybe so. Maybe he's figured out he's not going to make it, and he's going to try and just lift and coast and get to the end here. Feel pretty good about Nazelli being able to make it. Not so sure about Chin, and I'm not really sure about Schramm. His was a little bit longer at 10.6, so he's got a little more fuel on board than Jason Chin, but he doesn't have the ability to kind of tuck in behind another car and do some drafting and fuel saving as they go. So it's going to be a tough ask for Schramm as well, I believe. But Schramm, as we've seen in weeks past, does a really good job of getting his fuel number pretty accurate. So I think we talked to him last week or the week before, and he had like 0.3 of a liter or something when he crossed the start finish line. So we'll see if he's got that number right again today, as we see a little bit further back Tello there. And then you've got Jason Green and Borowski. Obviously looks like they're going to be able to get to the end as well. Borowski for sure. Jason Green probably so with 11.7. And they're starting to close down on Tello, obviously, who's still trying to save a little more fuel before he can get to the end. So we'll see. We're going to be, I believe, a white flag this time. So are we coming around for the white flag?
I'm worried about Jason Chen, Charles, if he's going to make it or not here. I don't know. Yeah. I think, honestly, that pass that we saw a little bit earlier ago there, too, was he kind of let him by a little bit. And I think that's because he knows he's real close on bingo there, and he wants to make sure that he makes the end of this race. And I think that's probably why. Same thing with Tello kind of falling off pace just a little bit there. But we're going into our final lap here, so we are going to find out soon. We will jump on board with Chen again there, see if he does lift a little bit coming down that straightaway. I think I did hear him do it. But as long as Mauricio Naselli holds on to it here, Charles, looks like he's got a win under his belt.
Yeah, it looks that way as we're here on our last lap with Naselli leading Chen, Schramm in third. So here we go, coming out of turn 2, working their way down the straightaway, down the hill, coming down into turn 3 and 4. Let's see if we're going to hear anything.
It sounded pretty normal, eh?
Yeah, it did. It
might be okay.
It sounded pretty normal there. So he's going to just kind of keep march there, and hopefully, and I hope that Naselli maybe makes a little bit of an error. I don't necessarily see that. Naselli pretty much on form here today. And Chen doing his best to try and close him down, and you see Schramm there as well doing his absolute best to try and close that down. Should anything weird happen up front, he wants to be able to capitalize. As we look a little bit further back now, that gap 8 seconds back to Tello with Jason Green and Borowski closing that gap down in a hurry. That gap down almost to a second there as Tor is really trying to float that car through the corners. And we're back around again, and we got a lap car there in between those two of our leaders, and that's probably not going to help matters. I think that car has cleared itself out, and it's going to be Mauricio Naselli taking the race victory over Jason Chen, with Nathaniel Schramm finishing in third. And Jason Green and Borowski have both got by Tortello. We're going to see them come around, and there Jason Green going to pick up fourth, Borowski in fifth. And I'm not sure if Tello's got any fuel left in that car, as the gas just made it over to gases as he gets through there and finishes in P6. The gases in 7th, our Masters class winner. Dirk Braun finishing in 8th, Rich Meester in 9th. Adam Brashaw Jr., the last car in our top 10 and our Spec 2 winner as the race continues on. But pretty good race there, Josh, tonight, and was a little eventful there at the beginning, but it could have just been from the fact that we had 37 cars on track.
Yeah, the 37 FFs around Rudskogen is definitely a prospect for sure, and I think they did very well out there, getting a little bit caught up in T1. Unfortunately, our good friend Jorg Mani there getting caught up right at the very beginning, and we know, he's such a clean driver, such a nice guy. It really sucks to kind of see him get knocked out like that right at the beginning, but hopefully he'll be back next week there for sure. But I think everybody did a pretty darn good job around Rudskogen. Paul Jackson here, unfortunately, a little bit of anvils. He had some pace today. He was up there. I think he probably could have been near a top 10 if it hadn't been for some of those pitfalls for him today. Stevie Ray as well finding a few pitfalls. Michelle Lynn again finding some pitfalls out there as well. But this is not an easy track. Being around mid pack to back a pack in the Weekend Warriors, man, it is a knife fight back there. You really do have to fight for those positions. You really do have to have your head on a swivel. It's not easy out there for sure. Get up front and you can see a little bit more copacetic up there. You got people kind of maybe giving up passes a little more. There's a little bit less stress. You get mid-pack to the back of the pack, and man, oh man, is it ever a knife fight back there sometimes. And it's just hard to survive. So you got to give props to drivers like Michelle Lynn, who are there week in and week out, fighting back there for every last inch, because that is how it is out there. Dan Wood now smashing in to Michelle Lynn. That was a big one, and we're going to do our usual burn down here, Charles.
Absolutely, yep. They took it down straight through turn 3, down the hill, got a good run, and just sent it into the tire barrier down there at the bottom of the track, and have said this race is now officially over. So great race today. Maurizio Nazelli claiming a victory here, and that's going to push him up toward the top of the board there for our points. And a great run from Jason Chin. We were expecting to see some of our Formula 4 drivers up there near the top, and Jason Chin did not allow us to, allowed us to see some really good Formula 4 racing up at the front, along with some guys that we normally don't see up there. Nate Schramm, we talked about him last week, saying he doesn't really drive this car, but he was going to come out there and end up with a podium finish. And as a matter of fact, already in the waiting room. So let's go ahead and get our results up, and we'll start doing some driver interviews here as we get this pulled up. And here are race results. That's the wrong one.
Let's get the correct one up here if we can. Right. Having some issues with the overlay system here. Give me one moment and we'll get her sorted out. But yeah, I agree. That was a great race for sure up front. Able to just hold on to it there for most of the race, right up until the pit stop. Unfortunately, when we see a little bit of fireworks there, and we lost a driver or two. But there's our S1 points for today. That's championship points. No, it's still not working. Yep. Give me one moment here.
No problem.
To sort it out. I think I have a little bit of project file work to do at the end of this race, and there we are.
There we go. And here is our Spec 1 results. Maurizio Nazelli, your overall race winner. Jason Chin, Nate Schramm, our podium. Jason Green in 4th. Adrian Borowski in 5th. Tortolo 6th. Dirk Braun 7th. Michael McConnell 8th. Josh Justice in 9th. And Jason Dunnington rounding out your top 10. Moran or Lynn. Marzuki, Brian Stasinski in 15th, as we want to either page up or page over.
See if we can get it to work here. Yeah. Nope, that's going to be it. That's it, 15.
That's going to be it. Well, all right. Yep. So I do believe that I can say that I believe Alan Degassis was our Masters winner. There we go. Spec 2, Adam Bradshaw Jr., Hugh Simpkins in 2nd, Dan Wood in 3rd, Saunders in 4th, Jackson 5th, Jason Grider 6th, Dan Stasinski in 7th, Phil Berry in 8th, and Walkie Nosebeck unfortunately disconnected at the start of the race, so is going to be qualified in 9th there. And here's our Masters class. Degassis, the winner. Rich Meesters in 2nd, Andrew Love in 3rd, Jim Brewster in 4th, Jeff Webker in 5th, Stevie Ray finishing in 6th, Paul Cordeshi finishing in 7th, Buttermore in 8th, Tom Gradwell in 9th, Brad Cathcart in 10th, Tullo, the Nick version of Tullo, that's the dad, Nick Tullo finishing in 11th, Adam Bradshaw Senior finishing in 12th, Jorg Mani finishing in 13th, unfortunately out early, and that will be our finishing orders. as I believe we'll be able to get the overall if it scrolls through here.
Yeah, we'll try here.
Properly, or maybe
it will work. Maybe it won't. Nope, it's not going to work. So that we'll just have our class for today. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's bring in. We've got a couple of drivers waiting, and I'm going to bring in Jason Chen, who finished second today, and we'll have a conversation with him. And I'll drag him down. Jason, welcome into the booth. Great run today. Obviously, you're one of our, I guess, Formula Ford regulars, and put up a really great result here with a second place finish.
Yeah, thank you. Maurizio was just too fast today. It was surprised to qualify so close to at the front. I think if you even look down the field to like 10th or something, it was like still 27.2 quality laps. It was like within 4/10 or so. At the start, I just tried to stay clean, and I was trying to be cheeky. I was trying to save fuel. But then the gap grew to 0.6. I was like, I gotta put my foot down and try to like not lose them. But they still like pulled away. So oh no.
So we saw you and Tor really cut the fuel close. He kind of limped back to the start finish line. How much did you have left when you crossed?
Oh, I started spluttering coming out of the final turn.
Oh, okay.
I probably should have put 0.1 or 0.2 liters more. I manually checked it off at after adding 3.2 liters, which I tried to do some mental math. I don't have any overlay, so I tried to do a mental math while driving and arrive at that number. But it should have been a bit higher because I think I forgot to, somehow one way or another, didn't do my math quite correctly.
Well, you did it. You did it correctly enough, and that was enough to get you across the start-finish line. So, how have you enjoyed the format for the summer series here?
I think it's quite fun. It really rewards you for being more all-rounder. Yeah, I wasn't able to participate last week because I was on vacation, but hopefully I can participate in the rest of the season.
Yeah, I hope so as well. We've had some really good grids here during the summer series. I think everybody's really enjoyed it. So next week we go to our wild card car, which is the Mazda MX-5s, and we'll be at what I would consider one of the more difficult tracks in our racing, and that's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Oh, I actually I didn't have much experience in MX-5 until recently, where another league I'm in started doing it as a league race with fixed setups, and I've gotten a bit better at that car. So, but Mosport is the track that I have driven on, but not very experienced at. So, I don't know how well I'll do. Probably, I don't know. Probably not at the front of the field like today.
Well, hopefully we'll be here and we'll be able to watch you next week as we take that. We all go and see who's got some MX-5 chops. But Jason, thank you for stopping in today. Great race again, and we'll give you a chance to give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go.
Oh, just thank you guys for doing the broadcast. It's you guys put on a great quality broadcast and commentary. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Jason. We appreciate that, and we'll see you next week at CTMP.
Yep, see you there.
All right. That was Jason Chen, our second place finisher today. And Josh, we've got Nate Schramm waiting. I know the Schrammers are in the chat with bated breath, waiting to hear from their leader, Nate Schramm. So you want to have a conversation with him. Finished third today, had a really good run.
Yeah, let's bring him down here. Nathan, great race today. They're able to pull out a third place. A little bit of an undercut from Jason Chen there, taking a really low fuel load. Ended up paying off for him there. Not an easy track around here, is it? It's a bit of a tough one. Not easy to find passes and so on. How'd you like it out there today?
Oh, that was really quite terrifying. I was not very comfortable in the car for most of this week. And I'm still not really that comfortable with it, but I was just focused on just trying to keep the car stable and run my laps and try to be consistent. Yeah, it was quite the experience. It's a tricky track to really do your first race in one of these, but it was also good. Learned a lot, so yeah.
Yeah, I would say, again, first race did absolutely excellent there for sure, Nathaniel. These cars aren't easy to drive, and Rudskogen, not an easy track to drive one of these around. I would say if you got pace around Rudskogen in one of these things, you pretty much have this car's MO nailed down, and you're going to be pretty good in it almost everywhere. This is a bit of a difficult one for sure. Get her turned in and keep that momentum up, just always sliding around here and using so much curbs and counterintuitive lines and so on. But next week, we're headed into the MX5s around Mosport. Couldn't be more different than today's setup at all. Super fast sports car track, lots of power everywhere. And as well, you're going to be have a roof over top of your head as well. You're going to be out for that one, and if so, are you looking forward to it?
Absolutely. I don't have that much experience in the MX5. Like, I've never done like a full season of it, but obviously driven it a lot. It's a staple of the service. It's definitely one of those cars where everybody has had a crack in it. So I think it should be pretty close racing. I don't know if it'll be the times and stuff will be as close as what we had today. Mosport tends to stretch people out a little bit with that back straight. If you don't get a great run out of Moss, but no, I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. So yeah, should be good.
Awesome, right on. Yeah, Mosport, one of my favorite tracks, and not just because I'm Canadian either. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's a fun one out there. Always like to see how everybody kind of attacks Moss and everything too. Very, very important corner. You just have to commit so much on entry and have to get that exit right too. So it's asking a lot of a driver and a lot of a car out there. So great run though today, Nathaniel. Got a third place out there, and that's pretty good around Rudskogen, especially for the first time racing the FF. So before we let you go here, is anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Slow Motion Broadcasting, as always. You guys do a fantastic job. I'd like to thank Ray Esports for putting on this league. It's a really cool format. It really shows who is like, I think, as Jason said earlier, is like a real all-around driver. So yeah, it's been really fun, different learning experiences. I'd like to thank my team, Three Oceans Racing, and our sponsors, Turner Machine Development and Gager & Sons Power Systems. And yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent, Nathaniel. Right on. We will see you next week in the MX5s, and great finish today, man. Talk soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Right on. Well, I'll pass it to you there, Charles. That was Nathaniel Schramm from third place finisher today, and it looks like he's going to be joining us for the MX5s too, so that is pretty cool. I'm really excited actually to see all of these drivers that I've seen drive either all of the different machinery, and now they've even seen them jump to a few different types of machinery. Well, now they're all going to jump into a piece of machinery I've never seen any of them in, or a lot of them in. So that should be really interesting. Honestly, this has been a really great series. I think it's asking a lot of the drivers out there and keeping things fresh. I'm pretty stoked about it, man, and it sounds like the drivers are too.
Yeah, it absolutely does, and I'll give you just a little bit of heads up. As I've seen a few of these drivers, Andrew Love, Jim Brewster, I think did a lot of the racing during the weekly broadcasts of the Club Racing League for Ray Esports, and there's some others that are out there, Josh Justice as well. So there'll be some names that we'll point out during the course of next week's broadcast as we head to the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Mosport is one of those tracks that is very difficult to master, but it is an absolute blast to drive. The MX5s are going to put on a good show there. I think we're going to be a little bit closer than maybe people realize with that long straightaway on the back end being a good place for those MX5s to kind of close up to each other with the draft that they can produce. So, Josh, final comments tonight, and then we'll close this bad boy out.
Yeah, final comments. I think everybody did really, really well today in the FF. It's interesting to see, those drivers maybe who haven't even touched one, like a Nathaniel Schramm, go out there and do so well in one of these cars. So clearly, some of those skills learned in FE and FF and other things have paid off here for sure. And yeah, just stoked that everybody did so well around Rudskogen there. We did see a few pitfalls, but this place is difficult, and I think they handled it really well. Really looking forward to the rest of the MX5, and just thanks to Brad Cathcart for sponsoring today. And if anybody would like to pick up any more sponsorships, I do believe there is some MX5 races out dangling there that don't have sponsorship yet, so please get in touch with me or Stevie Ray, and we can make that happen for you. We can't do this without you, and we appreciate every second of it. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks again, as you said, to Brad Cathcart for sponsoring today's race. And we always want to put these cars out, and we want these drivers to get as much exposure as they can. They put on a great race for us week in and week out. So with that, we're gonna close today. We'll be back again next week, same stream time, same stream channel here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and we'll come back with round 4 of the Weekend Warrior Summer Series at Mosport in the MX5s. For Josh Wilkie, I'm Charles Boshell. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. So long.